Welcome back. You're watching a special edition on I24 News. I'm Kalev Ben-David.
And I'm Narit Ben. We're here with extended coverage of what has been the most serious escalation between Israel and Hamas in 4 years.
And joining us in the studio now is our senior Middle East correspondent, Mohammed Al-Qassem, and also Celine Tubal. She is Deputy Director General of the Economic Cooperation Foundation. And Celine, what we've been hearing from those residents over the past hour is they want some kind of strategy to move forward from this situation, and to deal with Gaza. It doesn't have to be a military operation. They just want a strategy. I know you have looked at this particular issue. It's very complicated. There are many steps. But what should the first steps the government should be taking if this ceasefire holds?
Well, the arrangement that have been reached in the last couple of weeks to enable the ceasefire that was broken 2 days ago were basically a plaster on the wound in order to enable some calm for a period of a couple of months that should enable the parties to deal more deeply of the issues and the factors of instability that have affected the Gaza Strip. But once the fuel and the salaries that are paid by Qatar will end in 6 months, the question remains, what's next? And if we want to aspire to a more sustainable ceasefire, this factor of instability will have to be addressed, including by, addressing the financial and economic distress that there is in the Gaza Strip and the dead end in the reconciliation process. And Israel will have to formulate what's its position on this issue, what it intends to do in order to address a Gaza economic crisis. Will it intend to open more broadly Gaza crossings? There is nothing that indicates that this government will be willing to take these measures, and there is also nothing that indicates that this government is willing to proactively encourage the Palestinian Authority to return to Gaza.
Celine, I want to go back to you. You talked about a longer-term strategy this government has to do in dealing with Gaza, perhaps improving economic and social conditions there. Let's take one example, the plan to perhaps open up a port for Gaza that would be actually placed in Cyprus. We know there's a split in the government. The transportation minister, Israel Katz, actually supported that plan. The prime minister seems to be wavering. How significant would that kind of step be?
I think the discussion on this issue is biased in the sense that it could be a very interesting measure if it is in a political context that encourages the Palestinian Authority to return. Within the context of a political agreement with Hamas, I think it's a very problematic measure. Now, it's a political measure. It's not an economic one. It will not, having such a maritime access through Cyprus, will not enable Gaza to have a port like we have in Ashdod. It won't enable them to have export and import of materials to the extent that Gaza economy needs. So it's a political and symbolic measures. And I think that these measures could be interesting if it considered within the framework of encouraging the Palestinian Authority to return. That will make sense.
If we're talking about economic measures in terms of the White House, that has been sort of one or maybe the only clear pillar we've seen from the Trump administration in its path to a potential peace deal is certain economic measures to try to improve the situation in Gaza. Do you think that those have legs, that they're going anywhere, or that they are working against this sort of greater political catastrophe?
They've cut funds from UNRWA. Right. UNRWA is one of the main employers in the Gaza Strip. It provides humanitarian assistance and medical assistance. This is not contributing economically to Gaza to to undertake such measures. And when I'm talking about what can Israel do politically to bring back, to encourage the a reluctant Palestinian Authority to come back, it's to also engage with the U.S. administration for the U.S. to withdraw some of these economic sanctions against the Palestinian Authority that have a very destabilizing effect not only on Gaza but on
right,
the
so
region.
what sort of started as from the White House hearing about those economic initiatives certainly turned quickly into a deep lack of economic funding, to say the least.